Heyo, welcome back to the Luck Management Podcast with your host, Carter Loesch. Today, we have a very special episode. It is October 7th, 2023. And today, we are going to be speaking with the founders of this substitute teacher startup, Mili Llama. Welcome to the show, Donovan, Bennett, and Joshua Rodgers. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Yes, doing well. Thank you.
Well, this is first off, I got to give my first shout out of the week to Brian Connolly setting up this opportunity to be able to speak to you guys. Josh, I don't know if you know Brian pretty well, but that man is a near saint. I worked with him in the marketing department, and he is a guy that fights for all Notre Dame students and just wants to be able to have people stay connected. So shout out to Brian Connolly for this.
Yeah, I have to definitely give Brian a shout out. He's a star in the EMBA program out of the Chicago cohort. He's welcomed me into his office a few times at the Mendoza building. So, good friend of mine, and I'm sure he's going to do some awesome things at Notre Dame.
100%. And he is a guy that's been on the podcast, so he's got his own feature here. He's been a mentor to me. So just to all the luckies out there, we call him on the Luck Management Podcast. Thanks for the referral. So the first thing that we like to do on this podcast is just talk about the name of the podcast, the Luck Management Podcast. And so the idea behind that is everyone gets put into, say, lucky situations, or hey, they win a lottery ticket, or they make that light while they're driving somewhere. But the idea around it is the management side. So when luck meets opportunity, what are you doing with that? How are you going to react to those situations? So it's about optimizing your opportunities. It's about growing your chances in being like, hey, I may have gotten lucky, but what am I going to do with it? So luck favors the prepared in a sense. I wanted to ask you guys to get started. What are your thoughts on luck?
Yeah, so I think luck is, as you stated, is being prepared, being in the right situation when the time arises. I know I was fortunate enough and lucky enough that I have the family and the support system around me. My wife, Melinda, my daughter, Amelia, my mom, and my sisters who believe in me and help push me to continue to do good things in life. So I'm lucky enough to have those individuals around me.
Yeah, I kind of share those same sentiments, Donovan. I think being at the right place at the right time, those chance encounters with individuals that really change one's path and trajectory in life, and family, friends. The Notre Dame network has been just amazing. So this luck is something that comes around every now and again, and sometimes it takes you by surprise. So I truly believe in it to an extent.
Right? I'm trying to get as much as I can. And it's funny though. Sometimes you do meet those people and you're like, oh, that's a lucky person right there. That person, he gets it. So I appreciate both of those. It's like the harder I work, the luckier I am at the end of the day. But just to get started on this day, you guys are episode number 59. First off, the fact that I've gotten to 59 episodes and being able to talk to so many people through the Notre Dame community, but outside of it, just friends and things like that, it's very special. But what I do is I try and look at what significance is around 59. And you don't really think of 59 very often when you're looking at it. But two things that I found. So Satchel Paige at age 59 was the oldest Major League Baseball player. I have no idea how he did that. Yes, there was probably just mailman still playing in the league, but like, how did a guy that was 59 play in the MLB at that time frame? I don't understand.
I guess Tom Brady has a ways to go if he comes back to playing football.
Right? He's considered young.
I know. Even LeBron's now the oldest player in the NBA, which is crazy.
That is actually a crazy stat. I did not know that.
Just saw it yesterday on ESPN.
What, at age 38, 39?
Oh, man, I wish I dived into the article much more than that. I have no clue how old LeBron is, but he's supposedly the oldest guy in the NBA now.
Yeah, I still remember when he was like a rookie, like when I was like in middle school or something. So that's a long career.
Yeah, he's 38 years old, and that's considered old.
Right?
Hmm,
Oh man.
that's crazy.
In the world of sports, when you're having to
I mean,
play 82 games in a season, right? Uh,
and he's only 6 years older than Josh and I. It's like, damn, we need to step it up,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, you're right about that.
hey, I got some work to do. I'm 26, so I got to get up. I got to keep working too. But the second thing I noticed, and it's a weird thing, but they talk about angel numbers, and they say 59 actually encourages you to live and serve your life purpose. And they call it a soul mission to do and follow the best of your abilities. So something I want to be able to get in on this podcast, and you guys are going to talk about this Mili Llama, is like how this has kind of become a purpose for you guys and why you guys are doing it. But just know that this episode is a life purpose episode.
All for
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the next thing, keeping it light, we have a fun fact of the day. And you mentioned it earlier, Donovan, being from Rutgers or being around the Rutgers area. First college football game was played November 6, 1869 between
Oh
Rutgers
wow.
and Princeton in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So we were just talking Notre Dame football, 5-1, got a big game tonight. Got to play Louisville under the lights again for the third straight week. And then we got Colorado, who's taken the football field by storm. It's
Go
been a
Buffs.
great season.
Go Buffs. Can't forget to shout out the Citadel Bulldogs as well. Not as great football team as everyone else, but we'll win sooner or later.
Something they're all in one. I think they lost every game thus far. But we'll get one. It's the first year head coach there, a smaller school in Charleston, South Carolina, that me and Donovan are alumni at, and
Uh-huh.
the football's rebuilding. So we'll see. You can only root for it is what it is right now for them, but they'll get there. They'll get there.
It's one of those things where it's like once your football program gets good, everything changes. But when they're in that development stage, it's like, we're gonna kick it down the line, right?
No one cared about CU until Dion arrived last year. Now everyone cares about CU.
It just takes one little shift. But that's really cool. And I want to be able to learn more about your guys' history of how you guys met and everything. But um, I have a this day in history. So this day in history in 1871, the Great Chicago Fire started actually,
Oh wow.
and it started in a barn. So like, how could you ever think that a barn would be so close to the city of Chicago that took all that out? But just from the Notre Dame connection, I know Chicago is a big place, and Chicago is one of those places that a lot of Notre Dame people go. But I see that you guys are kind of all over the country. But I just thought everyone talks about the big fire. It's like it started in a barn.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I took an architecture tour and I learned that Chicago burnt down twice apparently.
No
And
way.
yeah, so I don't know where the second one started, but they always talk about the two great fires of Chicago, and I live 30 minutes south of Chicago, so
Okay. Yeah.
it comes up in a couple of conversations here and there, but I don't know I'm not a history buff, so I don't know.
Well, I heard so the actual meaning behind the Windy City isn't actually because it's that windy, but it was because of corrupt politics back in the day. And
Yeah,
so
they probably should call it a blizzard now because it's crazy.
yeah, right. So at one point it's like, hey, the wind picked up those flames, but at the other point it's like, yeah, it's a wild spot to be in. Cool. Well, those are kind of the fun snippets of it, but the first thing that we like to do on this podcast is just talk about some highs of the week. Some positive things that happened to you guys, and that could be related to your personal life or just even with Mili Llama that we're going to get into.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest high for us this week is we heard from a school that we're working with in DC. They like our product, and we're going to meet with the principal of that school district or principal of that school next week. And we feel like we're going to close that school within the next few weeks, and that'll help us continue our trajectory of solving the substitute teacher problem. Then I know personally something that's made me very happy. Found out yesterday my daughter won an award at her elementary school, so we're going on next Thursday, my wife and I, to go see her get that award for excellence, is what they call it.
That's all. You know what? Congratulations. Shout
Thank
out.
you.
That's awesome. I mean, proud dad, right?
Yes, and she's going to hold that to me all weekend. Now we have to do movie night last night, have to take her to the nail shop today, pumpkin patch, everything for celebration, which is good because definitely want to celebrate her success.
Special. I love that pumpkin patch. Yep, 'tis the season. Yeah, I understand that. Um, that's amazing. I would say my high of the week, um, had a few good workouts, and it's starting to cool down here in Houston. So this summer, we had record highs of 105, between 105 and 110 degrees, and I like the heat, and I had Notre Dame, and it was tough being in that 5-degree weather walking into class, but like 105, you don't want to do any, everyone's just inside anyway. It was hot, but now we have 70, 75 degrees. Even when it hits 80, I'm like t-shirts and I'm enjoying it. I'm like, this is beautiful right now. So
You can't you can't beat the heat. It beats you down. We're both from Georgia, Donovan and I, so we're used to those hot summers, and
yep.
the humidity is really what gets you. It really gets you. So I understand there.
I lived in Atlanta for 3 years, so hot Atlanta was a real thing.
Hot Atlanta. That has a couple of connotations, but
Carter,
yeah,
did
fair
you
enough.
actually live in Atlanta or OTP?
Oh, I was ITP. I lived in Midtown, so I lived
Okay.
on 10th and Peachtree. So
Okay.
Peachtree can be anywhere in the whole state, but I was right by the Federal Reserve Building. If you guys know where that is.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. Next, I just wanted to highlight a shout out of the week. Do you guys have anybody? I mean, other than your daughter, Donovan, but anybody else you guys wanted to shout out?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out John Henry at the Ideal Center. So we've been accepted into the pre-accelerated program at Notre Dame, and we have been emailing John. We have been meeting with John. John is awesome. He has helped us more than he already knows. So I have to shout him out and show him much appreciation for what he's already done for us, and hopefully we can continue that partnership in the future as we grow this thing in the South Bend area and beyond in Indiana.
I would like to double up on that. The Idea Center that Notre Dame has is probably one of the best kept secrets that people are unaware of. If you are a Notre Dame student and you are launching a startup, thinking of launching a startup or within the South Bend area, you should definitely reach out to someone at the Idea Center. They have helped us out enormously within the last month. And then I also like to give a shout out to Techstars DC. Josh and I were accepted into that Business Accelerator in September, and meeting other like-minded entrepreneurs, working with our managing director, Adam, who's also, or who previously was a substitute teacher and brings that experience to help with our company, has helped us out as well.
That's fantastic. So on the Idea Center, I can't even agree with you anymore because first off, they helped me with my podcast, like some ideas of people that I wanted to talk to in the beginning. So thank you for that. Second, I started a small business called Charm ND, and they do like keychains, necklaces, earrings that are all based around the Notre Dame campus. And I couldn't have done it without Matt Levy, who's actually in the innovation lab right there. Like we started doing mock-ups and we started looking at supplies that we were doing. And I've been looking at a few different businesses and hoping to do the McCloskey venture this year because my brother's still a student there, like staying involved and being a little bit more integrated with the community. But yeah, it is the best kept secret. Like I think people that know it want to tell people, but at the same time they don't because they're like, I need to have these resources.
Yeah, it's the building is beautiful. It's 3 stories. I mean, it's just so many people in there doing everything and like innovating, just networking. I mean, I'm just so happy that I found it when I did, I didn't know about it for a year until, we started this Mili Llama thing, and I started getting more involved. Like, what is this thing? What are the people doing over here? And
Yeah, right.
it's awesome.
You have to surround yourself with good people and the entrepreneurial spirit and the minds that come along with that, and they definitely harbor that sentiment.
We also should give a shout out to Ryan as well. So Ryan is also at the Ideal Center, and he met with myself and a couple of other of my classmates. And one of the things that he said that stuck out to me was, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but basically the way that he contributes to the world is by creating enterprises so people can basically feed themselves, and that is just a good outlook on his contribution to society. So shout out to Ryan as well.
Shout out to Ryan. That's incredible work. That's really, really cool. Well, we usually go into the news, but I want to learn about Mili Llama. So I want to hop into this and first just kind of ask for a general background of how Mili Llama started and where you guys are today.
Yeah, so Mili Llama started in March of this year, and the basis of starting Mili Llama is because I'm a substitute teacher myself. I started substitute teaching for my daughter's school in Colorado, and throughout that time, I saw the inefficiencies of myself working with the schools in terms of lack of support, lack of training, as well as the schools struggling to find qualified substitute teachers that can help them out in a time of need. That's what led me to start Mili Llama in March of this year. And then, fortunate enough, Josh and I have known each other since our time at the Citadel. We started talking about Mili Llama, and then in August of this year, Josh jumped on board and joined this ride with me.
So you had that real background of being a substitute teacher, and did you always want to be a teacher? Was that something that was um, like special for you, or was it kind of like a side hustle? Because I think some people can look at that, or it's like an easy way of being able to impact people's lives.
I never thought about being a teacher. However, I've had two definitely good teachers throughout my career and my school career that have helped me and believed in me. I had a lot of teachers who didn't believe in me. So I never thought I had the patience to be a teacher. But then throughout my time of being a father, you definitely need to have patience. And I wanted to continue to give back because unfortunately, my mom, single mom, 3 kids, she wasn't able to come to our sporting events, help out in schools because she had to work or we didn't eat. I am fortunate enough, my wife is fortunate enough that we're able to give back to our daughter's school and help her out with anything that she may need and the school may need. And that's what led me to start substitute teaching.
That's incredible, and that's something so rewarding that you've been able to give back to the community. Joshua, do you want to talk a little bit about why you decided to hop on the Billy Llama train?
Yeah, sure. So, like Donovan said, we've known each other for over a decade now, or coming up on a decade, and we've dabbled in things before. We actually studied abroad together while we were at the Citadel.
Oh,
We went to
cool.
China. We
Oh,
went to,
nice.
went to Beijing, China. I think it was 2012 or around that time frame.
A different time.
Donovan swears that when he got to China, I abandoned him for a girl or whatever, but it's not true.
He did,
He
Carter.
came
He
in.
did.
Okay,
He was
okay.
he was in a different class, so I was in a different part of Beijing. But we studied abroad together with another classmate of ours actually joined us. But so I was in a career transition. So my other company, I was actually part of a third round of layoffs. So I was in a career transition, and I had a couple of offers on the table. And Donovan approached me about joining Mili Llama. So I started to ask some questions about what the service was, what the product was, what's the purpose. And I got really intrigued because there's nothing like working for yourself, number one, right? And then number two is if you can have a really big or outsized impact on something that is plaguing the community, and my community specifically as well, across the United States, you have teachers leaving the industry, you have a lack of teachers, you have a lack of substitutes. So when I heard all these compelling things that we could potentially solve for, on top of work for yourself, on top of work with someone like Donovan who has the same type of work ethic, and strong morals, and someone that I trust, and then additionally, being invited into the TechStars community and the accelerator program, it was a no-brainer for me. And so I've been on since the middle of August, and I have enjoyed every second of it. I'm learning something every day. We're talking to investors, we're talking to teachers, we're talking to schools, we're talking to Notre Dame. Like, it has been much of a pleasure. We're going to have some valleys, some ups and downs. We've had some some ups and downs already. There's some meetings and some no's, but we are having fun. We are pushing through. We are creating something special here, and hopefully, we'll be able to leave a legacy for our children, and then have a real impact on the education community and help solve some of these problems that plague the school districts around the nation. So I'm just happy to be on board.
My name is Carter Loesch, and I am the inventor and creator of CharmND and CharmU Enterprises. I graduated from the University of Notre Dame this past year. I was in the Master's of Science in Management program over at Mendoza Business School, and I loved my time at Notre Dame. My father went here. My brother is currently an MBA student at Notre Dame, and I was just back for the USC game, but I live and breathe Notre Dame. And what I wanted to do and what I saw was, I love the shirts that I wear. I love the Notre Dame hats. I love the Notre Dame swag that everybody wears. But I didn't see a need or a feel where people could actually hold a piece of Notre Dame. And the concept came up where I wanted to create keychains, necklaces, bracelets, earrings that you can actually hold a tangible piece of Notre Dame tradition, based on their sports teams, based on campus-wide. I believe that Notre Dame has a special opportunity, and expanding into other universities an even bigger opportunity. So I want to show you one of these keychains that I created. This one has 24 karat gold flakes, AstroTurf pellets from Notre Dame Stadium's football field, and wood shavings from the old seats of Notre Dame. It also has a helmet that is painted with the same gold that they use on the Notre Dame football helmets. I have a partnership with Finish Line Industries that actually paints the helmets. But there are too many places in the world where people love their universities, but they don't get to actually hold and have a real feel of what's in front of them. I want to be able to expand not only through Notre Dame and the beautiful tradition and love for university here in selling these keychains, necklaces, earrings. This is a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful idea to be able to bring the university to your home for any fan, alumni, or student as it is. But this is an opportunity where we can have an impact on building the camaraderie and love for school. So go Irish and go CharmND. That's special. And so I see that now I'm the mediator for this whole Beijing conflict right now. So if I'll ask questions, we'll figure it out. But no, that's really cool that you guys were able to experience study abroad. I studied abroad in Berlin, and it really does change the way you look at the world.
Oh yeah.
Being able to explore and see that, like, America is not the only country here.
Yeah, I wish we would do more, like colleges and the government would push more of our students to go abroad. There's so much to learn. And if you, when you think about it, you go to any country, China, I studied abroad in Spain, studied abroad in Costa Rica. Everyone learns English at an early age. However, we do not learn another language
Nothing.
at an early age. So here's a fun fact about Josh. Josh's children are fluent in Russian. Josh doesn't speak any Russian, but his children are fluent in Russian.
How'd you choose Russian out of every language out there?
So being that I actually met my wife in China, and she's from a country called Moldova, which is right next to Ukraine and Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And her family is ethnically Russian. And when we started having children, she says, I'm only going to speak Russian to them, and you're only going to speak English to them. I said, all right, no, whatever you say. So she only speaks Russian to them.
Yeah.
and I only speak English to them, and they translate pretty well. They go back and forth from languages. If we have a family conversation, everyone speaks English because I'm the only one that speaks
Yeah. You're
only
like, what are
English.
you saying?
Yeah.
What is mom saying right now?
But we'll be in the car, and we'll have a 30-minute drive. I have no idea what's going on, but fine with me.
Oh, that's where they can pin on each other. Dad said this, mom said this.
Yeah. So I met my wife there in Beijing. So she was studying abroad there. She's got her master's there. She
Wow.
studied at University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. Donovan and I studied at BLCU, Tsinghua. So yeah.
Very cool. In terms of that and into Mili Llama, like the teaching styles in China, can have you guys taken anything from your experiences there and instituted it into the teaching in America?
That's a good question. I think the teaching styles in China are much different than the United States, especially at the college level. So the classes that I took were at a more academic level, and I would say that in China, the students are more reluctant to um, uh, converse in like debate or question the professor or ask questions. They're more just they listen, they do what they're told, they kind of memorize what they need to memorize.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a debate. We're trying to argue here. We're trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong, and that's just
America.
That's
Yeah.
that's not the style, and that's not the style in China. So there's things to learn from both styles, right? In the United
Right.
States, and I was in class 2 months ago, and I was debating with the economics professor. Like, I don't believe in your theory, and this is why. But I would never do that in China because that's just not how the system
No,
works. So
follow the system.
yeah, much
That's
different.
that's very interesting too, because in Berlin too, when I was studying there, just because of World War II and everything, they're very a lot more focused now on rule following and stuff like that. They're very, hey, if the green man where the walk signal doesn't come on, like no one will walk across the street. There could be no cars within 3 miles and people will walk. And so like understanding that culture is so important to see how people learn in school.
Exactly. I don't know if you noticed this in Berlin, but they have the subways. There's no gates, so
No,
there's an honor system, and I'm just like, this would not fly in New York, or
no,
Chicago. Like, no one would pay.
everyone has a ticket. Everyone
Yeah.
literally buys tickets. And I'm
I'm
like,
like, why are
gosh,
you guys buying tickets? You can just walk on.
Oh
I
man, that's
know.
crazy.
It's wild in that sense. But you guys were talking a little bit about the purpose of it. What do you see as the purpose of Million?
So I see the purpose. We see the purpose of Mili Llama being able to support the schools and specifically supporting the teachers. A lot of our teachers are burnt out. They are tired. They do not feel supported, and they're leaving the profession due to that. And then the teachers who remain, they must take on the burden and that extra workload of the teachers no longer being there. So if Josh and I can bring in a new, fresh eyes, a more excitement from the college students that we're working with who can go in and support the schools, support the students, support the teachers. Not only are they fixing a short term need, it also sets up a long term problem of solving educators no longer being in the system. And our college students have the ability to become future educators if they feel like they have enjoyed the experience of being a substitute teacher.
Wow. I actually just saw an article. It came out today, like this morning at 8 a.m. And it says it's on CBS News. It says substitute teachers are in short supply, but many schools still don't pay them a living wage. And so you guys, you call it the gig economy. You guys are literally filling that need. Like and you're fulfilling it through that purpose of being like, you're working with students and you're working with children that are so malleable in this phase of their lives, right? Like what a teacher says, they look at them and they probably spend more time with them than they do their parents. And so you're trying to make sure that you're getting the best people in there to be able to serve them. And at least even just be there. Because if you can't have a teacher, you can't go to school.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
for instance, I was substitute teaching yesterday, and working with a third grade class. Never done third grade before. I typically sub in high schools because I have a third grader, and dealing working with one third grader, her homework is intense. Now imagine 20 other students who need your attention, and that's what happened yesterday. But there was one student I remember very vividly. His name was Israel. He was struggling on taking a reading test, so I had to block out the other students, unfortunately, and focus directly on him. And it seemed like he was behind in his reading. So even though I'm not going to be there long term for him, I was able to help him short term and hopefully made an impact on him for the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, when we look at the education industry and teachers specifically, they're underappreciated, they're underpaid, and that's why the education industry is having this mass exodus. So you're seeing teachers leaving the industry, not coming back, retiring early, finding other professions, right? And then again, college students are not incentivized to become teachers, right? Because they're underpaid, they're underappreciated, and they're going to have to deal with a lot of issues, not having the support they need. So hopefully, Mili Llama can assist in turning this trend around.
Hmm. For the people that want the summer still, that still want their
Yes.
summer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can
I mean,
you, in terms of like teaching and that mentorship side of things, um, people talk. There's this book called The Happiness Advantage, and how people need to be able to work on themselves so that they can help other people. And I think with a teacher too, they need to be in the right mindset to um, build and develop students. How do you guys like look at the qualifications of somebody being a teacher with Mili Llama?
Yeah, so Josh and I, any sub that comes onto our platform, we put them through an interview process as well as look at their resume. Once they pass that interview process, because not every college student is mature enough to go back into a school system and support other high school students or middle and elementary students. So we want to make sure that they have that maturity level to command the classroom and make sure that the students are doing what they're supposed to and help the students if they need that assistance,
Right.
as well as we put all of our substitute teachers through a fingerprint background check, because we do not want anyone who may hurt a student or who may have other issues in their past going into our school systems. With me being a father, with Josh being a father, that is the worst thing that we can imagine if something happens to one of our students that we're working with or one of our kids because we're putting the wrong people in the school systems. That's why we're putting them through constant fingerprint background checks, and we do that all the time, ensuring that they are not doing anything wrong in the world. And if they are, we take them off our platform and we will no longer work with them.
yeah, yeah. So what? One second. Can you stop? Can start over?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta
No
move him.
worries. Is that
That was his
Russian or
mic.
is that in English?
So I don't know if that was Josh's newest son, Clayton. He just had his fourth child.
Oh
I
my
think it was
gosh.
maybe a month ago. Maybe not. Maybe like 3 weeks ago. I think he had his fourth child.
Oh, and he's doing a
Yeah,
podcast
yeah.
now. Jeez,
This is my
kudos.
this is my hideaway. All right, we can start over. What was I talking about, by the way?
I think we were talking about making sure that we get the right teachers in there for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so when we're thinking about placing educators in the classroom, particularly college students. Donovan touched on that we wanted to make sure they're mature enough, but we also want to get some educators in there, college students that are interested in the education field, right? Because not only are we solving for a short-term substitute teaching shortage, but our goal is to help schools create a true pipeline to fulfill some of that, those missing teachers. And if we can get college students in the classroom interested in education, interested in mentoring kids, hopefully that will result in more college students being interested in becoming full-time teachers. Whether that's for 10 years, whether that's for 5 years, we just need more college students to step up to the plate and train and educate the future generation.
That's like a noble act. It's a weird thing that I look at in my experience. I'm like, I want to work for a few years and then hopefully be able to give back and teach children because you need to have that experience and being able to um, impart your wisdom. but the system is kind of flipped over because when you just have a bunch of maybe say older people that want to teach, they're maybe not as much in touch with the community and the feelings of how younger generations feel. It's like the whole system is actually flipped on its head.
Yeah, yeah. And, I think it's also important to note that while we do have a niche on getting those college students in, we are also going to partner with retired teachers and engage parents as well to fill those needs. But you know, it's true, right? You have an older generation getting ready to retire, trying to get out of education, and we need to do something about it. So hopefully, our platform, our recruitment strategies, our partnerships, and our community-based approach will help us achieve that in incremental, success and milestones.
Incredible. In terms of that, are you guys matched up with like, do you want to be able to do partnerships with Teach for America or like AmeriCorps? Like people look at those to be able to teach. Like, what sort of partnerships are you trying to get into in the future?
Yes. So we would love to have a partnership with TFA or any local school systems that have people pushing teachers throughout their system. We're also looking at partnering with the education departments at universities, such as the education department at South Bend, the education department at CU, because those students are already interested in becoming educators. Why not utilize that skill set to help us out in the beginning and then bring in those other college students who are business majors, marketing majors, who may not realize that they can become teachers, but throughout the process of us providing with that training and support, they're like, hey, teaching is actually something that I like to do. I can put that on my resume and state it. I substitute teach for 2 years throughout my college career. I impacted this amount of students. It fulfilled me in that way. That looks much more, I think, uh, future employers will look at that much more favorably than you were an Uber driver or you were doing
Totally.
DoorDash, which those are all great companies, good jobs because you have to pay your bills. But something much more impactful as being a substitute teacher will go longer on your resume.
I know. I actually wish, some of the odd jobs I did, it was great for my career development, but there is something about being able to be a mentor. I was a big brother, big sister. Even that aspect, because they have college programs where Big Brothers Big Sisters works with younger students, that could even be an angle, being able to like bring those two together.
Oh, that's a good point. That's that,
Definitely.
and yeah, I can see that as well. I've never done the Big Brother Big Sister program. I did Boy Scouts and helped younger scouts, Cub Scouts throughout that time frame, but never did the Big Brother Big Sister.
Yeah, and I think some more partnership opportunities we have is probably teacher unions, PTO organizations, just any organization that has the goal of improving education, improving the conditions of work for teachers, improving the retention rates, improving the test scores, everyone. So we're open to partner with anyone and everyone that has the same type of goals and mission as we do.
So you talk about this partnership. So let's break down like where you are, like who was maybe even your first school that you did it with, and like how big have you guys grown? Like what's the size of Mili Llama?
Yeah, so we started in March of this year. We're still in our infancy, very much in our infancy. We have one school that we are working with. They're based in Georgia. They're actually the school that Josh graduated from. So we're going to start onboarding them this month. And then we have a pipeline of other schools that we're working with in the South Bend area, Colorado, and as well as some other schools in the DC area that it just takes a while as a brand new startup company to
Totally.
become legitimized with those school leaders because they want to, one, make sure that you know what you're talking about, and two, you actually can solve the need that they have. We know we're legitimate. Josh and I have expansive experience outside of education. I have my background in manufacturing. Josh has his background in sales, as well as we're Army veterans. So we know we have that experience to lead this company to the next phase. Now it's just legitimizing ourselves with those school leaders and finding the right school that's willing to partner with us and take the chance on us. Because there's stuff we're still learning as a startup company, certain
Mhm.
processes, our recruiting, but we know what we're doing solves a real need. We believe in what we're doing, and we're putting our full weight behind it.
Ayo, this episode is sponsored and brought to you by CharmND. CharmND specializes in creating unique and authentic sterling silver vials and real items from around the Notre Dame campus. Each charm is carefully handmade and contains a little piece of the Fighting Irish spirit. Check us out at charm_ND at Instagram. Now let's get back to the show. So one point there that I really liked was the manufacturing, but also having military background while also having sales. You weren't just brought up to be a teacher and saying, hey, there's this need. You were able to see it from the outside. I think that is an ultimately very special aspect of the work that you guys are doing too, because some people can get caught up in the machine of just, oh, this is how it is. This is how it needs to be. But you're actually looking at it from a business standpoint. I'm sure in manufacturing, it's, hey, you have to build this product and you have to test it. You got to create prototypes. You got to do research and development around it. Also in the sales side, you have to see what people really want. Like why would somebody want to get involved into this venture?
Yeah. So that's a good point, right? We can be considered outsiders from type of an industry perspective, but Donovan and I are parents too, right? We want our children to grow up and experience a good quality education, and we don't want schools to be stressed about it, right? We want the teachers to be focused on educating our kids. So yes, we are outsiders. Like I have a sales experience. Donovan's more operations and manufacturing. But at the end of the day, we're parents, and we're involved in our local schools, and we know firsthand what they're dealing with and the obstacles they're facing. So if we can bring our industry expertise to this problem and bring a real solution, affordable solution, then some of the greatest pivots and solutions are brought by people that that don't necessarily have that industry experience. So.
School boards are built by people and mostly by parents. Those parent associations, they can help dictate. And nobody knows their children better than their parents because they see them day in and day out. And it has your own biology in it, right? Like when your son is doing something, you're like, dang, that's me. Unfortunately, I was like that too. And so being able to bring in that, hey, I know what a student wants. That's special. But on top of that, and you look at schools and you look at some of the struggles, what would you guys say are some of the biggest struggles in schools right now that need to be solved? Not even just Mili Llama, but like your guys' experience there in being in this world.
With my background in manufacturing, two things: background in manufacturing, as well as I have a minor in Spanish. The two things I wish schools would lean in more and provide more resources is not everyone's fit to go to college. College is not for everyone. We need to push more of our students to go into trade schools, become an electrician, become a carpenter, become a mechanic, because those industries and those jobs are in demand. I lived that for the first 10 years of my career, trying to find a mechanic as a manager in a manufacturing plant, trying to find a mechanic who has the skill set to fix our machine. And it's so hard to find it. One thing I enjoy about the schools here in Colorado is they invest in CTE courses. It's career technical education courses where they're putting them going towards those trade schools. They become nurses, whatever it may be that can benefit us, because college is not for everyone and we need those classes. And then secondly, I wish we would push more of our students to learn a second language. This world is global. The US is not the only thing around, and a lot of people are not favorable of the US once you go venture outside of the States.
True.
I have a Spanish minor. My wife, she's Mexican American. She speaks Spanish. Our daughter speaks Spanish. And as I stated earlier, Josh's children speak Russian. So fortunately, our kids have that base of languages that are utilized throughout the world. And I just wish more kids are pushed to learn that second language.
Yeah, I can add on to that. I totally agree with everything that Donovan said. And additionally, I think schools are going to need to start pivoting towards this new technology and AI and coding, right? We need to integrate more of those classes and maybe a little bit more real world skills as well. So, managing a checkbook, starting a business, right? Or understanding finances, understanding investing, right? So all those core curriculums are very important: history, math, science, reading, but we also need to start being a little bit more innovative in the approach that we are going to take to kind of bring the next generation to the next level of, the next entrepreneurs, the next inventors, the next social workers, the next presidents, and leaders. So yeah, technology is a piece we need to hone in on as well.
Yeah, and you touched on the entrepreneurship. I think that there's such a high focus on, hey, you got to learn your subjects, and then we got to get you into the trade, which is very important. Like you said, like we can't find a lot of these jobs, and we can't find people that are willing to do these things. While at the same time, it's a fine line because you want to push people to go invent and create, but we need to fill these things, and so you have to tiptoe those lines of, will this ultimately work in our economy? And you touched on it a little bit earlier. I think that the languages and the language barrier allows us to be one track minded in the way that we think about things. And there's that whole idea around, if you start to speak or live in a new culture, you start to understand it and you start to think that way too. Why not? Like why are we being so subjected to sticking to one side of the story? Let's open it up.
Yes, and we're just missing out on so much that the world is going to eventually pass us by. That's why some other countries, I'm not going to name the country specifically, where it seems like they value education more than we do in terms of learning those languages and those other skill sets. That if we do not start instilling those skill sets in our children now, we are going to lag behind those other countries in the future. And they're coming for us. Everyone's coming for us. In a lot of charts or articles you read, America's not number one anymore. We are not big dogs as much as we think we are. And
100%.
if we don't if we do not evolve, we are going to be left behind.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that I noticed when I studied in China was I hung around a lot of European people from Italy to France to England to Spain,
They have a
and
good
they all
time.
and they all spoke three languages. They all spoke four languages. My wife speaks five languages, and I'm just like, man, if I had really paid attention in my Spanish class, I could, I would be a Duolingo. But they're speaking three and four languages, and I know that's probably a bit of their geography, right? Because you can just hop on a train in Barcelona, end up in Paris in a couple of hours. But I think we need to open up the world, continuing to innovate, to open up the world to these kids, and push them to go and learn, new languages, new cultures, new foods, new everything, new thoughts of ideals, right? Diversity of thought. So
Right.
yeah,
So much so people say, oh, but don't you love America? Or don't you like what we're doing here? It's not a product of that we don't like what is happening. Yes, sure. There's definitely a lot of things that need to be fixed, but it's like, why not make us better? We are a melting pot. Like, that's how we were founded. That's how we became the way that we are today. So
exactly,
take advantage
exactly.
of it.
I love the United States so much. I don't think I would live anywhere other than the beaches of Spain. But
True, true.
but
Close second.
we could always improve and take what's best from other places of the world. But this is definitely we're still USA all the way.
Yes,
Cool, cool.
I'm gonna
And
start chanting.
USA. I love it. I love it. Hey, once you build this out in America, why not evolve it and bring it to other countries too? I mean, hey, you
Exactly.
gotta walk before you can run, but still.
Oh yeah, there may be a need in other countries, but I know the biggest need is here in America, and we're going to
Yeah.
focus on improving American students' educations, and then we can look globally.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been just an amazing conversation. I just want to ask just a few questions about you guys, though, a little bit more personally. Um, we have a few fun ones that we like to do. So if you could have dinner with anyone, who's at your table? You could pick a couple people, things like that. Who would you guys pick brains with?
The person that I would like to have dinner with, and it's not anyone who's famous, and I never even met this person before. I have this big thought process that I would like to do my DNA test and then go find where my ancestors are from. Like my mom, she's from Birmingham, but we don't know where in Africa our ancestors are from. My dad, he's from Jamaica. He immigrated here, I believe, when he was 18. But I would like to find my early ancestors and just learn from them, because there are things that happen in my family that I want to know why that happened, and meet with those individuals to
Mhm.
see if they would have done things differently, and then show them where our family has made it, because I'm the first person in my family to graduate college. And imagine the lineage or the years that have gone past. No one has ever graduated or went to college. Why they did not make that choice. And I was the first person in my family to make that choice. I would just like to meet with those individuals.
Special.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say one, right? But I would probably sit with any president and ask them probably a bunch of top secret questions, but also just just their thoughts about leadership, um, about the world, and yeah. So probably any president from any country, pretty much.
First, I mean, to understand the history and being able to go back there, I've always thought about that too. Because we talked about it like earlier, like those genes of like, why am I the way that I am? It really is ancestral in a way. And that's important. I think people forget about that lineage. And then in terms of presidents, I'd be like, where are the aliens? Give me some real
That's the
answers.
first question that I'm going to ask them.
You guys, we did not create the pyramids. Come on, give me some more information.
The first question is, where's the aliens, bro? Bro, where's the aliens?
Yeah, right. I'd have to stay up to it and just be like, so what is actually going on with like the economy? Like, can you give me a tip or?
Give me the closed door conversations that y'all have, because we all have those professional and in personal conversations. I want the personal ones.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the next thing, and this could actually be work or just personal. What kind of bucket list items do you guys want to check off? You guys are very young in your careers and just starting this, but what do you guys want to accomplish in the near future, or even just by the time you yeah, by the end?
Man, that's a big question. Well, professionally, of course, we want Mili Llama to grow. That we're solving a real need, and if that need is solved, we're able to one day sell our company or go public. You know, the big things that startup companies are looking for. Because Josh and I, we would like that financial freedom. We would like to go live on the beaches of Spain one day, kick our feet up, and then have the opportunity to give back to other future entrepreneurs. One thing that Josh and I have talked about is we like what the Idea Center is doing at Notre Dame. Our university, the Citadel, we're a military college. We push out great military leaders. We rarely hear about great entrepreneurs coming out of the Citadel. So if we are able to grow Mili Llama, make a lot of money, and utilize some of that funding that we receive after we sell the company and start an idea center at the Citadel, that'd be pretty cool, and give future generations of entrepreneurs at the Citadel a chance to become just as successful as we have been. Because I'm not I'm not a part of the Notre Dame network per se. I don't have my MBA through Notre Dame, but just being a part of this network thus far has shown itself fruitful.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, but I guess I will do a personal bucket list, and it's to continue to travel. Right, so I've been all around the world. Donovan's been all around the world. We love traveling, and I think that I want to continue to visit countries I haven't been before. Maybe revisit some that I've been back and probably haven't taken as much or stoked in as much as I would like to. So just travel, continue to travel, and hit all my hit all the countries I haven't hit yet.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you are a part of this Notre Dame network. Like the minute that you joined an idea center function or even doing the accelerator program, that's one of the beautiful things about Notre Dame. It's like they want those people that want to be there. And if anything, you're part of the luck management lifestyle. So you've joined that network
Thank
now,
you for that. Number 59.
number 59. And travel, I love that. keep traveling. You know, in a world where people had to feel so closed up, it makes you just want to go and travel even more. So, and use those experiences for people that don't get the opportunity to do so. So, the kind of the last question that I wanted to ask, and also could be personal, but what advice from your guys' life experiences would you impart on the lucky listeners?
Believe in yourself and have confidence. There are going to be so many people who are going to state that you can't do it. I've had teachers state I would never amount to anything. And fortunately, my mom always believed in me. She could never give us the material things per se, but she always instilled in believe in yourself and have confidence that you could be anything in the world. My wife and I joke about this. My mom always states I'm going to be the next Bill Gates. I'm not trying to be the next Bill Gates. It'd be nice to do some of the cool things that he's done in life and give him back. I just want to be the best version of Donovan that I can be. But it's believing in yourself, because this past week alone, Josh and I had meeting with investors that we thought were going to go to the next stage, and one of them that we thought were going to close on for a significant amount of money. Unfortunately, they stated we were too early and some other feedback, which was some good feedback. And one thing I appreciate about Josh, I was down on it, and Josh sent me this text message. I'm going to look it up real quick. And it's a pretty good text message. He said to me yesterday, after we received that turn down, my apologies, 1 second.
No worries. I'm edge of my seat right now.
We haven't mentioned. Man, I'm missing the text. I can't find the text that you sent me. Hope we can cut this all out. Okay, here it is. We got this, man. Don't get down on these investors. All we need is one investor. All we need is one customer. And then I curse a lot, unfortunately. So I said something bleep, was amped after seeing that email. I was pretty upset, but thank you for helping out. So that's something, having someone who believes in you, having that support system, believing you when you're down, because even though you can have all the confidence in the world, and I have a lot of confidence in myself, but we all can get down at times. And seeing that text message from Josh after we got that second email, it made me feel better at the end of the day yesterday.
It's hard getting.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is just bet on yourself, man. Because like Donovan and I have worked for other people for a decade, and you work hard for them, and you might as well work hard for yourself. You know, one of the greatest boxers of all time, Floyd Mayweather, he always says like, "I bet on myself. I'm betting on myself," and I didn't really know what that meant until we started this company, and I'm working hard, right? And there's no resentment for it. There's no answering to a manager. There's no
For you.
it's on us. It's on my shoulders, and that has been liberating. It has been enlightening. So if you have the opportunity in your life to at least one time bet on yourself and give it your all, I would highly recommend you take that chance. And if you have a second chance to do it, take that chance. If you have a third chance, take it. Always bet on yourself. Bet on yourself.
I love it. I love it. That's the luck management lifestyle, right? Like when that opportunity arises, bet on yourself. And that's so true. You mentioned that, like working for yourself. Um, you put it, you know what you know what you need to do. You take those moments and you formulate something that you can spend hours on, where if you were in another job working for someone that you don't appreciate or love, hours feels like days. And so just follow that passion. That is so beautiful. And Josh and Donovan, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Like, this has been an enlightening conversation. It's given, I think, a lot of people that are going to listen to this are going to understand more and look up Mili Llama and be able to understand the changes that you guys are trying to do in the world. So really, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Carter.
So
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're a teacher or you're a superintendent, reach out to Mili Llama. We can really help you get a community involved in solving your substitute teaching problems.
as a little sign off, wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, or watching us on YouTube, keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace.